yes or no war against ISIS?
Yes, we have to look first at the power and responsibility of the federal government and foreign policy is to protect United States citizens. So in regards to ISIS, we have to look at whether there's been a specific threat to destroy our country and whether there has been a demonstrated capacity to do that. Once that's in place, we have to have a declaration of war by Congress. And that's the constitutional response to that, not unilateral by action by the president. So once that's in place, we'd have to look at no nation building. We'd have to have a specific enemy, knowing that that's there, no building of infrastructure, and no winning of friends. At the current time, I would not support an invasion for ISIS, but I would monitor that. I would look at continuing going forward and seeing as they what is happening in that environment and have to have a vote by Congress for a declaration of war, and that's the proper response if we are going to go forward with ISIS.
If you will promise very brief answers before closing remarks, next question from Candace.
Ms. Nunn, the stock market is higher than ever, gas prices are below $3 in many places, GDP is up, nationally unemployment is down, consumer confidence is high. Why is the administration not getting credit for its wins?
Well, I think that we live in a time in which there is a huge amount of, again, animus and polarization, and we need to send people to Washington that are uniters, that are going to put the nation's interest first. And I think that there are a lot of things to be optimistic about in our country. And at the same time, the thing that's broken is our governance. And the only way to fix it is by sending people to Washington who are going to work together. I feel that people are still feeling a great deal of economic insecurity. And we need to do common sense things like raise the minimum wage, make sure there's pay equity legislation, invest in our infrastructure, help create the conditions that will lead to greater job growth. And so, again, I think there are a lot of things to be optimistic about in our country, but we need to break through the governance gridlock and the paralysis that is holding us back.
Mr. Perdue.
Well, thank you, Candace. I think it's a great question. I disagree with the conclusion. I think this president is failing. His economic policies are failing. We have fewer people working in the United States than at any time since Jimmy Carter was president. Middle-class incomes have dropped dramatically. And we pushed millions of women in the last 6 years alone into poverty. These are not measures that the people I talk to in the state of Georgia use with regard to a successful administration. They feel like the ship is rudderless right now, that nobody's leading us with regard to our foreign policy, the cuts on our military, and our economy is failing the people of Georgia. What I hear out there in the state of Georgia is they want a leader in Washington to stand up to this president and these failed policies, and that's not going to be Michelle Nunn. I want to go to the Senate and fight for the people of Georgia.
Thank you. It is now time for our closing remarks. Each candidate will have 1 minute, and we determined the order by drawing. First, a statement from David Perdue.
Well, thank you, panel. Thank you, Justin, and thank you, guys. I've enjoyed tonight, or this morning. During this campaign, I've traveled all over our great state, talking to hardworking Georgians and listening to your concerns. The decision in this race is really very simple. If you like the direction of our country, then a vote for Michelle Nunn will be a vote for Barack Obama and his failed policies, and nothing will change. It just seems to me that if you're as frustrated as I am about the size and scope of this government, about the fact that this president won't secure our borders, and the fact that we're building up this huge debt on the backs of our kids and grandkids, then stand with me. Stand with me, and I'll be your voice in the Senate, fighting every day for you to solve the problems that are affecting you and your family every day right here in Georgia. President Obama wants Michelle Nunn to go to the Senate to fight for him. I want to go to Washington to fight for you. I'm David Perdue. I'm asking for your trust and your vote to be your next United States Senator. God bless you.
Amanda Swafford.
We have two choices in this United States Senate race. You can vote for more government, continuation of things like Dodd-Frank, the Department of Education, Obamacare, a rubber stamp for Mitch McConnell, a rubber stamp for the leadership of Harry Reid. Or you can vote for a candidate like me who understands that more often than not, government is the problem and not the solution. A candidate like me who will not vote for any of the current party leadership because they're all doing a dismal job. A candidate like me who understands that it really makes no difference who controls the Senate because the Senate, both parties have been controlling us for decades. There's a lot of races throughout the country that are going to be impacting what happens in the Senate between now and the end of the year. And Georgia is just but one of many factors. What you can depend on is that a libertarian is going to treat government as the problem and not the solution. The first option that I talked about, you're just going to get more of the same. But when you go to the polls on Tuesday, you're going to be able to vote for a candidate who understands the power and responsibility lies with the individual, not with government.
Michelle Nunn.
So first of all, thank you all, David and Amanda, and to WSB. I got into this race because I wanted to continue and extend the work that I've done for 26 years, and that is serving people, making a difference in their lives, solving problems, and getting things done by working together. I also got into this race because I believe that we can break through the gridlock and the polarization in Washington. And I have seen throughout my entire career, and I've seen over these last 15 months of the campaign, that we can do anything. We can accomplish anything, meet any challenge when we work together. There's a real contrast in this race in terms of ideas, aspirations, experience. David has done well in business, but the people around him have too often not been brought along. And you know, if you think that we can break through the gridlock by more prosecution and less compromise, then David is offering that. But what I think that Georgians want is someone who's going to bring our Georgia State mottos, wisdom and justice and moderation. So I ask for your vote on Tuesday. Thank you very much.
On behalf of our panelists and our viewers, we thank each of you for being with us this morning and your time and your energy. Best of luck on Election Day as this concludes our debate for U.S. Senate. And we thank the candidates and we thank